Hey, college sports fans. Well, the Tigers are now 1-1 against Jordan Hudson teams. They beat the Jordan Hudson North Carolina Tar Heels. They lost to the SMU Mustangs and their receiver, Jordan Hudson, a much more football oriented individual, if you ask me. We are going to look at some of the things. And look, if you go in and you lose by basically a score, SMU padded it to two scores late. Uh, you're in there with your backup quarterback, Christopher Vizzina. I think absolutely looked functional, looked good, looked like there's some upside there, trouble in the pocket, but very nice deep ball. We're going to focus more in this episode, though, rather than talk about the loss specifically to SMU and what went wrong. We're going to try to look at some of the things that have been longer term problems. I'm Bill Zimmerman. This is the Reign Supreme Always podcast, season 4.
I'm Daniel Shirley. I don't want to talk about Vizina. We'll do him later in the week. I
Yeah.
thought he played well when he was given the chance, right? And we'll talk. And you just, I could go off on the offensive game plan for an entire hour. I thought it was atrocious. I thought they coached scared. I thought they were conservative. That's for the next segment. The defense is the problem. The defense has been the problem. And I know that everybody for 3 years, Bill, I've talked about the defense. I wanted a new defense coordinator. I wanted a real defensive coordinator. Well, then when you hire a real defensive coordinator, you tie his hands behind his back by not getting rid of anybody else on the staff, or maybe not even getting rid of them, moving them into another department or letting them step away themselves. So when has this defense played well this year? First half
Only,
against LSU.
yeah, I was going to say only fits in spurts.
First half against LSU, and then BC and North Carolina. Everybody plays well defensively against BC and North Carolina
Yeah.
because they are awful. But this defense, and I said this to you before we started recording, this is the worst defense Clemson's had since probably Kevin Steele was the defense coordinator. And that says a lot. This is worse than last year with Wes Goodwin. This is worse than 2 years ago with Wes Goodwin. They were actually pretty good 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got worse under Wes Goodwin. This is worse than any of Wes Goodwin's years. You got guys who are lost. You got guys who don't know where they're supposed to be. You got guys who don't play with effort. That last touchdown that you mentioned to SMU, stop him. At least try.
Yeah.
No effort whatsoever. And this team is supposed to this defense supposedly has 3 first-round picks on the defense.
Not anymore, they don't.
Please point them out to me. I know I'm not a football expert, but you point out 3 guys on that defense who should be first-round picks. Maybe they will be because of their measurables and what they do with the combine, all that stuff. There's not one guy on that defense I see who should be a first-round pick. There's barely anybody on that defense who should be playing in the NFL. You might tell those guys to come back for another year and try to get things turned around next year.
Maybe.
But my problem with this defense is not the players. Yes, the players have been atrocious. But why are they not prepared? You got guys lost. You got guys who don't know where they're supposed to be. You got guys who can't tackle. They cover grass and they don't cover individuals.
Yeah, and when you say that, we're talking about like that zone scheme, and nobody's going to pick up the man who is coming into their zone.
Right.
They're waiting for that guy to come all the way to them. Well, guess what? The other
They're
team
not,
is well coached on offense, and they are not going to run right at a defender. They are going to find the seam in the zone.
This defensive staff has failed this year. And I don't know how else to put it. And Bill, look, and I said this after the Syracuse game, I don't want to call for people's jobs individually because I know what that means to people. I've been laid off before. That stinks. But you can't run it back with this staff next year. They're not getting the job done in recruiting. The talent is not there. They're not coaching up the talent that they do have. Bill, name a player who's gotten marketably better the last 4 years during his time at Clemson.
Well, I'll give you a few, but I think I know your point. I think it's rhetorical.
But it used to be you could rattle those off the
Yeah,
top of your head. It was easy. But look at the guys who come in who are supposed to be really good players, and they either stagnate or they get worse. And I know this is about the defense. Blake Miller is the perfect example. And I'm not picking on Blake Miller, but he's not gotten any better since
right.
he's been there. Tristan Lee has not gotten any better the last 2 years. Now he's been hurt a lot too. But we keep hearing about these guys are elevating and oh, they're going to be this and they're going to be that. Cade Klubnik has not gotten any better. But
Well, that's not
defense,
true.
is he better this year than he was 2 years ago?
No, but he was better his junior year than his sophomore year, which was better than
Okay.
his freshman year. Now he's
Well, then he's
regressed, but
reverted.
he did
Right.
get better along the way. But you look at Peter Woods, and look, I'm not gonna ignore the fact that you can't just take a high schooler and throw him out there and he's going to do great. Like you have to get Peter Woods ready to uh, be able to make an impact as a freshman. You have to get Bryant Wesco ready so that
Sure.
he can make an impact as a freshman. You have to get Jeremiah Trotter ready over the course of a couple of seasons so that he can make an impact as a sophomore or junior, whenever it was that he blossomed. You have to get TJ Parker ready to impress as a freshman. Like Tyler Grisham had 4 guys in 3 years who he got ready as a freshman to
Yes.
be able to contribute and go out there. So let's not say that the coaching is completely unable to develop talent, because it does take something to make that first step even possible. How many guys have we seen who were great and never even took that step? Josh Belk, whether it was he didn't even last a spring in Clemson, fine. Never made it happen in South Carolina. Roscoe Crosby never made it happen. Kenya Crooks never made it happen. Willie Korn never made it happen. So there is something that is crucial to get a guy out of prospect mode and into contributor mode. I think
Sure.
what we've seen a lot of uh, right now, Peter Woods. I know there were some complicating factors with Brian Brzee, but look at T.J. Parker. Look at Miles Murphy. Look at guy after guy after guy. Maybe Barrett Carter. I don't know. He progressed a little bit at some point. Maybe Trenton Simpson. They get them ready to play as freshmen. They get them on the field. They flash. They look great. Khalil Barnes. Hey, this guy is going to really be something someday. But they stay at that level their
Right.
entire Clemson career, and they never move ahead. And then you look at a guy like, and there haven't been many of these, but you look at a guy like Barrett Carter, who is making waves in the NFL right now. He's finally either in a system where he fits or getting a coach who is saying something in a way that makes sense to me. Like I've worked with guys who are like, hey, I can't learn this. And I'm like, well, go ask Mike, go ask whoever, see if they can explain it in a way that'll reach you. And they do that. How big is this staff now with coordinator? You've got the coordinator, you've got all the traditional position coaches, you've got all the analysts turned supposed position coaches, and nobody has a way to reach these guys and help them take that next step and
Yep.
become a better football player. I mean, you want consistency in messaging, but find another way to say it, find another way to coach it, and make these guys reach their potential, because we haven't seen that since about 2019, I would say.
Be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/Clemson Kickoff. It's free. It's the best place to catch all our episodes, and it's the best place for you to comment with your reactions.
Well, and I mean Jeremiah Trotter, you're kind of making my point. Jeremiah
Yeah.
Trotter, I don't care if a guy comes in as a true freshman and stars right away. Maybe it shouldn't be that, right? But you should get better from your freshman year to your senior year or your
There it
junior
is.
year and you
Yep.
go to the NFL. And that's what coaching does. Coaches are supposed to put players in position to make plays and to win. And is this staff doing that?
No.
And I would say, especially the offensive coordinator is not doing that, but this is about the defense. This defensive staff is not doing that. And why are they not doing that? Do they not have the talent? Do they not trust them? Do they not have the knowledge to do it? Have they stagnated themselves? I don't know enough about it to say that. And I will gladly admit that. You want to put me in a room with Ben Boulware and break down football, he knows a million times more about it than I do.
Right.
I'm not going to dispute that. But I can see the product on the field, Bill, and the first pass of the game yesterday, they throw a pass wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open. And every time yesterday, as you and I are texting, and I'm texting back with a couple other people, every time when the offense finally decided to let Christopher Vizzina play and take the cuffs off of him,
Yeah.
every time the offense got some momentum, and you go, okay, come on, defense, now's the time to make a stop. SMU goes right down the field and scores, right? And then especially the one drive where they had the long touchdown run around the right side. That drive was 4 plays and 80 yards.
Yeah, most of it on 2 runs.
Right. And so, I mean, what are we doing? Right? I mean, where is the coaching? Where is the coaching? I know the players have not been good this year. They've not. We can talk about individuals have been good, and there's bright moments. Wesco's been good. I think TJ Moore was good yesterday. Even defensively, there's been a couple of players who have played well.
Right. Will help most of the season, even though he was neutralized yesterday.
But, I texted you yesterday about Ashton Hampton, and you replied, well, they're not using him right, pretty much is what you said. Okay, that's fine. Then use him right. I mean, this coaching staff, if you could give somebody an F minus until we end the show for the next 10 minutes. I can't keep saying minus. That's what this defensive staff is, Bill. And I think more people on this defensive staff need to go than need to stay. And I don't think you fire Tom Allen after 1 year, but I think you got to give him the opportunity to go hire the people he wants to have in place.
Right. Instead of shoehorning
him in with the staff that stayed intact.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I love Mike Reed, and I think I've told you this, I wouldn't mind him being the next head coach at Clemson somewhere down the line. But the cornerbacks either haven't played well or they don't fit the scheme. Well, then, you know what you should do if your players don't fit the scheme, you fit the scheme to the players.
Thank you. Yes.
At least for the short term, right? And then you start to get players who fit your scheme.
Yeah. I think there's 2 things, and I think I'll exonerate the corners a little bit because it just, whether it's Terrell, Hampton, Lucas, Gibson, who's very young, whatever. I think
let me say something real quick. Did Lucas even play yesterday?
Yeah, I saw him out there at one point.
Okay. He wasn't on the field at the end of the game when they.
You know what? Where I'm thinking of is they called his name, but it was Gibson in the 12, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't know that Lucas is 10.
Played.
He may not have. But in general, I think if these guys are good, and if Reed has been recruiting for guys to play man at corner and cover tight, and these guys aren't figuring out how to play loose. Now, I would have liked to have seen that develop during the offseason because they struggled with it last year too.
Right.
The bigger point, I think, maybe to the other 9 positions on the field, and I won't totally excuse the corners from it as well, is it all the coaches, or are these guys really putting in the work the way they ought to be putting in the work? Because I think every generation has a different way of kind of seeming like they're doing the work, saying the right things for the time that they're growing up in, learning a profession in, learning a sport in, whatever you have. I'm not so sure that it's all on the coaches. And I've said that about Klubnik. I've said that at other times. These guys need to really put in the work, need to really dedicate themselves. I think there's a lot of, quite frankly, look, here's another example and something I wanted to say anyway. This defense is living off of big plays. Even in beating BC and even in beating North Carolina, there were gaps being shot. There were chunk plays being given up. But the big plays were outweighing. And you saw some more big plays against SMU, and that's great. But you've got to be good at all the things. Sammy Brown can't always be trying to get a big hit, can't always trying to be making the SportsCenter highlight reel, if you will. The way that receiver juked him when Brown had him right up against the sideline and just absolutely undressed Sammy Brown and got around him and got, I don't know, another 10 yards or whatever it was. That was the perfect example of someone who is not prepared, who is not dedicated to taking the right angle to make a play, who's not dedicated to being in the right place to make a play. First of all, the guy shouldn't have been that wide freaking open in the first place. Somebody blew it there, whether it was Brown or somebody else. That play is super indicative of what's going on. What did I used to say about Tanner Muse, Daniel, in that LSU game? He kept trying to line up the big hit. He kept trying to line up the big moment, and those guys just went whoop, and Muse went, his body self hurling himself into the wrong place, and the guy just darts off. That was a perfect example. We're seeing this all over the field. We're seeing it from guys up front who are just more obsessed with getting to the quarterback than making a play. We're seeing it with Sammy Brown and Wade Woodaz getting way over their skis all the time on a regular basis. I don't know why Woodaz is still on the field in this system, quite frankly, unless he's going to be able to learn what to do to run this system the right way. Because frankly, I think Kobe McLeod has been better. Jeremiah Alexander's been hit or miss back there. I don't know.
He's been better than Woodaz, though. He's been better than Woodaz.
And I thought D. Creighton looked kind of good against LSU. Again, a younger developing guy, not a ton of snaps. I would like to see more of him. I haven't. Maybe he's nursing an injury that's not out there in the spotlight. I don't know what it is. It's got to happen. The coaches and the players have to be working together to understand how the system works.
Connect with us on social media. That's at Clemson Kickoff. Whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, or Facebook, you'll find us there.
And look, it's year one. And as I've said before, we thought Garrett Riley was going to come in and be a savior his first year. It hadn't happened. Things looked really good last year. I think things looked better for the offensive system yesterday with Christopher Vizzina making decisions, I think Kay Klubnik making decisions. I suspect that the plays that were called were being run more often. That's just what I believe. Maybe right, maybe wrong. I think Vizzina had better timing on his throws. That has to start taking shape under Tom Allen. And, before we start asking, hey, did Tom Allen buy or rent in Clemson, South Carolina? Because this is not working and it's bad. And another thing, the tackling has not gotten any better at all this year. And that was one thing where I was really hoping that bringing in Tom Allen would make a big difference. It has not. And, you talk about the assistants. I'll go back to your point and hand it back off to you. Was this staff of assistants? Look, you and I like Mike Reed. We like Nick Eason. We were hopeful Chris Rumpf was going to be a significant step up from Lemansky Hall, where it clearly it just wasn't working there for whatever reason. Jaheim Lawson's gotten better. That's about the extent of Chris Rumpf's impact so far. Is that assistant staff? There were some rumblings about the things that went on with those guys and Wes Goodwin. Are they just too poisoned to be able to make it happen in Clemson? Does the cliche change of scenery just need to happen for a lot of those guys? And I don't have the answer to that. Look, you have to place your faith in Dabo Swinney to make the right call on that. But bigger changes have to be made than have been made so far, especially on the defensive side of the ball right now, to be able to get coaches and players on the same page and have a system being executed to the point where opposing offenses aren't just running like impalas in a field.
Yeah, I think that they've got to look at the defensive staff.
Yeah.
And I don't like calling for people's jobs, but these guys make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. They'll still
feed themselves and keep the power on.
And somebody else will hire them. I mean, the coaching life that's what happens. Yeah. They make a lot of money to do a job, and they're not doing the job. They're just not. And you talk about Sammy Brown, you talk about Wade Woodaz. Wade Woodaz is a perfect example. Another one of those guys who flashed a little bit as a freshman and has gotten progressively worse. I don't know why he's on the field in front of Alexander, right? I thought Vizzina looked good yesterday, as you said. But again, I questioned the game plan. I don't question the system with the offense. I question the game plan. The defense, I question the system, and I question the coach's ability to coach up the system. And if they can't do it, then you've got to give Tom Allen the people who can do it.
Yeah.
I question,
let me jump in real quick. I think one of the problems with Wes Goodwin is he was really good at drawing up a system and saying what the system was. That's not coaching. And right now, I'm not seeing any improvement in that way among this group. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what this system is. Right. You don't see much blitzing. You don't see much aggressiveness. You got, there was the talk that they wanted to play a lot of man, but now they're playing zone because they don't know that they could play man. I don't know. Again, I'm not enough of a football expert. I watch the games on Saturday. I don't watch film. I don't break down film. I have a job that I have to do. I don't have time to be breaking down film. And if somebody does break down film and can tell us, that's great. Put it in the comments. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's clear you watch the product on Saturday that whatever is being coached and taught is not what should be coached and taught. And Rhett Lashley is a hell of a coach. And he just embarrassed you for 4 quarters yesterday.
How good does Miami feel about letting that guy go? Probably not pretty good.
Right. I mean, I know he's at SMU and they've got a lot of money, but if I'm at Penn State, I'm calling him right now.
Yeah.
Or if Notre Dame ever comes open, I'm calling him.
Florida.
That guy can Florida. Yeah, right. That guy can really coach.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many times have we said that, Bill, this year? You got embarrassed by Troy for most of that game their offense against your defense. The second half against LSU, the whole game against Syracuse, Georgia Tech embarrassed you. I mean, UNC and BC ran up and down the field for a half, both of them. And they haven't done that to anybody this year other than Clemson.
Yeah.
They don't have the players, they don't have the coaches, and they don't have the scheme. And that's how you end up at 3-4. And they play tight. They play timid.
Yeah.
And Bill, what's there to lose now this year? They coach timid. What is there to lose? Let it go. 4th and 1 yesterday early in that game, and it's not even 1, it's this. Go for it.
Yeah.
But you punt, first play, 75-yard touchdown pass for SMU. And that set the tone for the whole game. SMU is aggressive. SMU is going to play fast. Clemson is playing on its heels. Clemson is timid. That's what this program has become.
Yeah.
And they need new ideas to get them out of this funk. And this is not a one-year thing. I know they won the ACC last year. Go back and look when they played good teams.
Yeah.
They got beat. This is not a one-year thing. This is a general slide from the 2018 team.
Right.
They've gotten worse every year since then.
I'd say 2019 was every bit as good, and just they were physically beaten
okay.
going into that. They were physically beat up going into that LSU game.
Since 2019. Okay,
yeah,
fair, I'll give you that. 2019, since 2019. But Bill, even that 2019 team, their offensive line was not good.
No.
But they had the 2 best players on the field to cover it up.
Right. The erasers.
Right.
So
they don't have any erasers on either side of the ball anymore.
No. The big plays I'm talking about on defense, they don't get made with the frequency to cover up for the problem. So we are out of time. We are going to have plenty more to talk about during this 2-week span until the next game. Clemson bringing in Duke for homecoming. Pretty good chance that homecoming gets spoiled, I would say. But we will come at you with more about this team. And until then, I'm Bill Zimmerman.
I'm Daniel Shirley. Go Tigers, I guess.
We were on a roll. Hate to run out of time.